Um, Hello, America. It's Raymond Herrera speaking to you live tonight after President Trump did his State of the Union speech. And let's get started. First of all, I'm on YouTube because I can't be on Facebook at the current moment, but I will be back soon on Facebook so that most of the American followers that I've had or Facebook friends that I've had can um, join me when I speak, when I go live. But anyway, tonight's State of the Union speech was like no other State of the Union speech. They're all the same people, they're worthless. And President Donald Trump's speech tonight was no better than any of the other past State of the Union speeches I've ever heard. It's all just a bunch of political small talk, puppet talk, I call it. It has no real meaning behind it, be it Bush, be it Clinton, be it Trump. It's all just the same. It's just kind of like a show and tell type thing or whatever. What I was looking for in President Trump, well, I wasn't really looking for it anymore, people, because President Trump has revealed himself to me and to the American people to be the amnesty president. So therefore, that the only thing that I was interested in was his lack of enforcement talk. He didn't mention anything about enforcing our immigration laws on illegal aliens that have laid threat on the American people for years and years and years. If anything, he was more inclined to blame the Democrats, but he didn't really do too much of that either. But he did somewhat, slap at Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and the rest of the demos in the building. But like I said, I wasn't expecting him to say that he's going to enforce the laws and saying that he's going to deport illegal aliens and saying that he was going to uphold his promise to the American people as to why he was elected. When it came to, his State of the Union speech with concerns or regards to illegal immigration, he actually did what he's been doing for the last couple of weeks. He's been talking, about the border wall, the need for a barrier, the need for a fence, the need for, call it whatever you want. That's what he says. He doesn't call it a border wall anymore. But he did speak about his border wall, the money for it. And besides that, he mostly focused on the illegal alien mother from Honduras that sends her daughter north to invade our country, and the worry that's on that mother's mind, giving her daughter birth control pills because she knows she's going to get raped invading America. He spoke about the child trafficking. His concerns were about illegal aliens. He did somewhat mention the angel moms, but that again, people, is just politicizing the death of Americans at the hands of illegal aliens. He only addresses them when he needs, a push or a shove over the finish line, or he needs to get, boost his ratings. He'll bring on dead Americans, or talk about crimes that illegal aliens have committed here in America, but he's only talking about MS-13. He's not talking about the real crimes that have been perpetrated against the American people, American workers, for the last 25 years or so. Jobs that have been taken from American carpenters, iron workers, cement masons, housemaids, nurses, doctors, by illegal aliens that have poured across that border. He's not really aware of them. The only thing that Donald Trump knows is, Americans have been killed by illegal aliens. Sadly, it's a tough cross to bear for anybody, especially the parents that have had their children and their family members killed. But other than that, he doesn't really know anything. For him, immigration, illegal immigration, is all about MS-13. He spoke about 260,000 arrests that were made last year. But, they were just, people that have committed crimes, or illegal aliens that have committed crimes here in America. He didn't speak about the 40 million illegal aliens that are committing crimes every day against the American people, the American culture, and our way of life. You see, America, when a man loses his job, he loses his American dream. And in the process, he ends up losing his youth, and his family suffers, and his family's in the gutter, or his family, is, uh, how would you say, being deprived of its rightful station in America. Babies, toddlers, elementary, preschoolers, high schoolers, you name it. He doesn't talk about that because he's not even aware that the American people have been suffering at the hands of illegal aliens. I know of women that have, been eyed up and down, and catcalls made at them. And, it's not just, them coming out and raping them, but it's also them disturbing the peace of mind of, women, American women here on American soil. I have a friend that, was taunted, riding the bus in LA, or being in the streets, walking in the streets, or going to the stores, or going to the markets where illegal aliens congregate. How they give her, that evil eye or stuff, things of that nature and stuff, and make, rude and lewd comments to her. She doesn't deserve that. But this is what we're up against, people. This is what we're up against here in America. We have a body politic. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. They condone our women being bothered at the markets or on the way to church. They condone deprivation of jobs for American workers. They condone, the murdering of Americans because they do not enforce the laws. When you look at, let's just take angel moms, or any American that's not an angel mom that has had a family member murdered. You can't bring back their family members, people, and they have to bear that cross for the rest of their lives. People are losing their lives and not being able to, move forward, procreating families because they were killed in a car accident at 19 on the way home from college, such as happened to Melanie Cortland here in California, when her daughter Amy it was her birthday, and she went to, her classes at the college. On the way home, she was run over by an drunk illegal alien construction worker, and just totally annihilated her. Her vehicle looked like a smashed up uh, piece of metal. There was nothing left, but she died at 19. And her mom's been suffering ever since. There's no way to put that into words, people. But yet, it wasn't just the Democrats, as President Donald Trump likes to blame the Democrats and, the liberals, and, for this mess that we're in with illegal aliens. It's the Republicans, too. People just don't understand that this movement didn't start with Donald Trump 2 years ago. It started with the likes of Amy Cortland back in 2004, 2005, and her mom, Melanie, and people like Raymond, who lost his job in his American dream. And, President Donald Trump made reference in his State of the Union speech about, very little reference about the damage that's been done to the American people. But more, he referenced illegal aliens and the crisis, and giving them money for the humanitarian crisis at the Mexican border. He didn't really talk about we the people, and just to give you an idea, his whole focus when he did speak at immigration was begging for money. And, if he doesn't get it, everybody thinks that he's going to do a national emergency. That's not going to work either, people. It'd be challenged in the courts. But President Donald Trump started making references to fences around the world, and the fence in San Diego. Well, President Donald Trump, and to all the new Trumpsters that may be watching this, I was around when that fence was built in San Diego. In fact, people like myself and the activists back in those days, we were pretty much responsible for getting that fence built by the federal government. And, for those that don't know, every day the illegal aliens would just pour across that border. They'd run like a herd of buffalo across the border on the freeway through the ports of entry. You should have seen it. You could see 200 of them running across, en masse, overwhelming the border agents. So that defense was built, and the defense did, cut down the flow of illegal aliens in San Diego, in and around the ports of entry. But they just moved down the road. They moved over to Campo. They moved over 20 miles over, and then invaded America, and still continue to invade America this day. They go around the fence. Unless that fence is a border wall and it goes from sea to shiny sea, you're not ever going to have that barrier that Trump tries to promote, and tries to blame the Pelosi's and the Schumers for not getting that border money or getting that barrier put up there. And he likes to say that it's the Democrats, the demos have done this. No, it isn't, people. Republicans and the Democrats and presidents and their administrations of years past have done this to the American people. But Donald Trump is a new guy. He's the new kid on the block. And, he thinks that he can just come at the American people, come at his Trump supporters and say that, oh, it's Pelosi's fault, or blame Schumer. I blame them all, people. I blame Ed Royce. How about that? I blame Paul Ryan, Boehner, all of them. Each and every congressman or senator that's ever been in office and has failed to resolve the dilemma of the American people, or in earnest attack, the dilemma that's been plaguing the American people for the last 20, 25 years. You're at fault. And it's not just the Democrats. So I want the Trumpsters to understand that, when they hear their president talk about, oh, Pelosi or Schumer, that's a lie. He's new to the game. He doesn't understand that it's been the Republicans and the Democrats that have betrayed the American people. And, it's actually a deflection. It's a projection, a fault onto, Pelosi and Schumer, when he should be projecting that fault upon himself too, for the last 2 years that he's failed to enforce the immigration laws of we the people on illegal aliens that stand on American soil, or, are in the process of invading America. Donald Trump, you're as guilty as Schumer and Pelosi, and people that can hear this that are saying that I'm a hater. Well, you go ahead and maintain that hate speech on Raymond Herrera, but I'm not going to switch gears for you. I'm not going to switch gears for President Donald Trump. I'm not going to do anything but tell the American people the truth. And Donald Trump, when he was speaking about the 260 MS-13, or, criminal aliens that have committed crimes on American soil, there's 40 million illegal aliens that stand on American soil committing crimes each and every day. Just their mere presence on American soil is the act of deprivation of some American somewhere in some sector of our society, is being deprived of his workstation, his rightful place at the ballot box, his rightful place, or their rightful place in the school, classrooms, or at universities, elementaries, preschools. And this is costing the American people not only just money in terms of a tax, thing. It's costing you and me, our life. If you look at my story, I can't regain my youth to go back into the work sector and earn the bounty of America for my family. Nobody can give me back that youth, and nobody can undo the suffering that's been suffered by my family, or workers such as myself. And there's millions of us. So that President Trump doesn't even address those issues. He doesn't address what it's like to sleep in the gutter. He doesn't address what it's like to go without food. He doesn't even know about these things. But what he does know is just basically what, he hears on the radio, or somebody, tells him to say this or say that. As far as I am concerned, when he's using the Americans that have been killed, by illegal aliens, he's just being a politician. He's using it for political gain. It's kind of a morbid way to do it, President Trump, is that you call on people that have had their children murdered or killed in car accidents to Washington, D.C. whenever, the pressure's too much to bear, on you. You make political pawns out of not just them, but us too. Each and every American across this nation is a political pawn to Donald Trump and Schumer and Pelosi and McCarthy. All of them. They don't care about you people. Do you think that they care about the American people? If you do think that, then it's kind of like, I don't know what to say to you, because it's been 25 years, 30 years that this has been going on, and on both sides of the aisle, they're as guilty as the other side, and they're the ones that allow it. Don't forget, they're the legislative of we the people. They're the ones that are supposed to take the public opinion, the voice, the will, and the mandate of the American people, and make it into law, make it into bills that can be signed into laws by the administrator, the president of the United States. They have not done that. If if you care to look back, everything since 2005, since I've been in the public, politically active, everything in that's ever been done or debated has always been about somehow finding an amnesty venue for illegal aliens that have laid waste to the American people. In 2005, 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way to 2019. As you can see by the State of the Union tonight and President Trump's rhetoric, in weeks and months past, it's always about amnesty. With President Donald Trump, it's the art of the deal. I will give you, if you give me my border fence, my mythical Trump border fence, I will give you amnesty or an extension for DACA, for 3 years. And then we'll work, the legislative process and make them all legal. So America, when you think about what is President Donald Trump's agenda, let's look at the angel moms. Angel moms and dads, what you are doing is emboldening President Donald Trump by thinking or showing Donald Trump some kind of respect or some kind of a homage, if you will, about, oh, well, Donald Trump's going to end it. He's going to stop it so, our children will not be murdered by illegal aliens. Well, it's kind of, you're right in a way, because they're going to be murdered by green card holders under Donald Trump. Under Donald Trump's amnesty, the illegal alien that was murdering your family member, or it's about to murder other family members, will be legalized immigrants or legalized green card holders. And then they'll murder your family members. Then they'll take the jobs of American workers. So that there is no, how would you say, venue for the American people as far as President Donald Trump is concerned. He does a lot of political puppet talk, like, oh, bring jobs back to America, or American workers first, or make America great again. It's just puppet talk, people. You have to look at the man's actions. For 2 years, he has deported what? 200, 300,000 people that have committed crimes, burglaries or assaults or rapes. They're the only ones that are deportable in America. He spoke in the State of the Union. He didn't speak about enforcement. Tell me where he spoke about enforcing the law on illegal aliens during the State of the Union. Not once did he say that. Not once did he say he's going to send 1,000 ICE agents into the streets of California and begin to round up illegal aliens wherever they are, on the job sites, in schools, in churches, in the markets. Not once did he speak about setting up roadblocks with ICE agents, or the federal government setting up roadblocks in the state of California to get rid of the illegal aliens that have, done so much harm to the American people here in California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, North Carolina. Never once did he mention the act of enforcement on all illegal aliens that stand on American soil during his State of the Union speech. He spoke, in puppet talk. He spoke about the illegal alien mom and her daughter being raped, or the child being sold, as a slave or whatever. But these are illegal aliens. And he did speak about the angel moms, but very briefly. He said that he feels their pain. If you felt their pain, President Donald Trump, you wouldn't be looking to grant amnesty to 40 million illegal aliens to inflict more pain upon more angel moms and more angel dads in the future. Inflict the same pain, but only legalized green card holders, legalized immigrants will be doing it. So President Donald Trump, for all the puppet talk that you did tonight, calling out, to the American people about, getting the Democrats basically to compromise with you on the issue of immigration. You want to move forward with amnesty. You want to, have an era of cooperation and compromise with the Democrats. You want to work hand in hand for amnesty with Pelosi and Schumer. And it's not going to work, President Donald Trump. You can't betray the American people that have voted for you, you know, to be the president of the United States. You see, Donald Trump, when we voted for you, we were at the end of the road. I mean, we have walked down every trail, gone down every rabbit hole, and we had decided that, in 2016, this will be the last election for the American people, because whatever happens after, our next president's elected, and it should have been Donald Trump, deporting illegal aliens, and Donald Trump enforcing immigration laws on illegal aliens. That's what he promised us. That's not what he's done. Uh, he's done quite the opposite. For 2 years, he has done literally nothing but puppet talk, political puppet talk to the American people. And now that you have a divided government, what are you trying to do? You now want to reach over to Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and work on your amnesty agenda in front of the American people. Just last week, I heard President Donald Trump say that the American people would be satisfied and they'd be really happy with their body politic if Donald Trump's saying this. If we could just reach a compromise and reach a solution, in other words, amnesty, that would facilitate, America. Really? I don't see that facilitating America. But they just want to see the body politic and, the Trump administration pass an amnesty and people who go along with it. No, we won't, President Donald Trump. I don't know about the other Americans, but should you pass an amnesty or whatever, we're going to be in the streets. We're going to be up in arms, and you're going to lose, well, you've already lost a lot of your base because of your amnesty talk. So President Donald Trump, and when you were talking tonight, you were doing the puppet talk, at the podium, talking about, how we need to come together. The American people want to see their politicians work on solutions to dealing with immigration. That's not so. And the American people need to know that we need to tell Donald Trump that, he speaks for himself and not for the American people. Because those that have been in the fight for as long as I have, we're not going for any kind of amnesty talk. We're not going to, put up with Donald Trump's amnesty talk. We're not going to put up with an amnesty deal. We're not going to put up with the surrender of America for money for a border fence so that Donald Trump can have his way, or so Donald Trump can be reelected. I personally don't feel that there's any need to reelect President Donald Trump to a second term. He's no different than Clinton or Bush or any of the other people that I have been fighting since 2005. Well, he is different, America, because President Bush and President Obama, they would feel the wrath of the American people when it was spoken or when it was directed at them. They'd feel the sting of our words. President Donald Trump's the first president that has an amnesty, straight up amnesty agenda with the support of his Trump supporters, what he calls the American people. We're in peril here, people. Do you understand? You have a president that's going around telling, other politicians and telling the rest of America that you want some kind of amnesty. You want to find some kind of resolve that would grant DACA, an amnesty, grant the good ones an amnesty, and grant the ones that have contributed an amnesty, and kill Americans with legalized illegal aliens. In other words, green card holders or immigrants. We don't want that, President Donald Trump. In your State of the Union speech, you spoke about utopia, and you didn't really set an agenda anywhere in your speech. Oh, you said something about, North Korea. I mean, this was really funny. We'd be at war if you hadn't elected President Donald Trump, President of the United States. We would be at war today. Or President Donald Trump, you were talking about ISIS being done and over with. I don't think so, President Donald Trump. I think that you're no different than any of the others that have been in the White House, with the exception that you want amnesty, and you want to be the leader of the movement, and you want the movement to believe your amnesty propaganda, your amnesty agenda for America. You're telling the American people that you have created jobs. You haven't really created jobs. Um, per se. I mean, the economy's moving forward because you gave a big tax breaks, and the billionaires are spending their money here, or companies are coming home like Microsoft because they owed $4 billion in offshore tax and liabilities to the American people. You forgave those liabilities. Microsoft's going to pay $35 billion one time, and all that other money is just forgiven. That's why your companies are coming home, Donald Trump, because you have made it. You changed the regulations that would have forced them to pay, their tax burden, bringing their money or their investments back onto American soil. So for me, President Donald Trump, I don't really want to knock you, but there's a lot of things that you have done and that you have portrayed to the American people as, great things, like the tax breaks, given $1 billion or $2.5 billion in tax breaks in one company. His name is Sheldon Adelson. There's nothing great about that, people. There's nothing great about that, President Donald Trump. You're a bought political puppet, and it shows. Like I said, when you look at tonight's replay of the State of the Union, I could see Donald Trump in several positions. One of them was on his knees begging Pelosi and Schumer, trying to do nice talk to them so that they can work with you, you and getting you border funds or, amnesty for border funds and things of that nature. It's not going to happen, Trump. They're not going to work with you. I mean, and they're going to work against you, just like you're working against the American people. Nobody is in a state of cooperation here on American soil this day, be it the body politic, be it Trump supporters, or be it the American people. We're a divided country, and there's a reason that we're divided. We're divided for, people that like to assume the seat of government, that of we the people, and use the American people or, victims of crimes committed against the Americans by illegal aliens. They like to use this as political pawns. The fact of the matter is, President Donald Trump, that what you're proposing is an amnesty for money. Your proposition is to betray America, betray the American culture, our way of life, betray the sovereignty of we the people and the posterity of our American children. But you like to do that puppet talk. You like to come at the American people like you're our friend. Oh, there's my buddy Raymond out there, and there's my buddy, Cindy, and there's, so-and-so, and we're going to get this job done, and, stick with me, you get tired of winning. No, President Donald Trump, we don't want to stick with you anymore. We can't wait any longer on you, President Donald Trump. You've shown your true colors to the American people in recent weeks. It began with the government shutdown in earnest, that you were willing to shut the government down because you didn't get your border funds. So you're thinking you're going to propose a national emergency because you didn't get the legislation that you wanted to sign into law that would have given you money for your border wall, the mythical Trump wall. So now that you didn't get it, now you've set the agenda for, what is it, February 15th, or the government shutdown comes back or whatever. What you have done is you've got everybody up in arms in Washington, D.C. and across America. And everybody's in the belief that, the border wall, that'll just resolve everything. That'll fix our immigration problem. No, it won't, people. They'll climb over it, climb under it, tunnel under it, cut through it. It's not going to stop the flow of illegal aliens and those refugees that are coming at America. They're coming because of your president, Donald Trump, that has not been able to seal the border. Yes, President Donald Trump ordered more troops to the border. But what did he order? Air Force? Navy? He didn't order ground infantry troops. He didn't order combat troops onto that border, armed to the hilt, ready to seal that border at a moment's notice. He didn't order those kind of troops. And the troops that he did order to the border, they're not on the border, people. They're in staging areas, 30, 40 miles away from, the invasion of America. And they're the wrong kind of troops. You know, you don't send a baseball team to play a football game. You don't send the wrong military personnel to seal the border when, you know, their military occupational status, MOS, is not infantry. It's not, you know, defending, you know, with, you know, hand to hand combat or, you know, patrols or infantry tactics sealing the border. You've sent engineers, you've sent Air Force personnel, you sent people that, you know, are not trained to run combat missions or combat patrols on that border. And until you do, until you seal that border physically, with you could use a national emergency and I'd go along with it, but it'd have to be like federal troops armed to the hilt on the border, sealing the border. It'd have to be like no more asylum cases being accepted here in America, or a national emergency that proclaims that you're sending 1,000 ICE agents into the state of California to round up the illegal aliens and get them out of here, deport them all without due process. You speak about the laws not being enforced. Well, President Trump and America and all you Trump, you know, supporters, I want you to go to the Google search engine and Google the summary of the 1986 Simpson and Mazzoli Act, known as the Immigration Reform Act by Ronald Reagan. I want you to read the congressional summary of, you know, what it says. It says that no civil rights are to be afforded to any illegal alien, and that, you know, that means no due process. You can't adjudicate, you know, all the whole world because they stepped onto American soil. You have to shut it down, Trump. You have to tell, you know, NATO, you have to tell Mexico, you have to tell Honduras that not one crosses that border. And I don't care if, you know, what we have to do. If we have to run infantry, ground troops against them, we will. And then you got this thing about Mexico, your friends, Mexico, the NAFTA deal you were talking about that you redid today, and in your State of the Union speech. Let me tell you something, Trump. Mexico is not your buddy. Mexico, they're not your friends, people. They're the ones that are, you know, sending the buses down to their southern border, you know, and picking up illegal alien refugees and busing them into Tijuana or Texas. They're the ones that are creating, you know, this crisis, so-called crisis, you know, on the border. But you know what? The crisis is in Mexico. The humanitarian crisis is in Mexico. The border is not America. It's on the other side of the border. And like in 2014, when I set the Murrieta blockade, it was precisely to set up a humanitarian crisis in the country of Mexico and let them wither, you know, in their garbage, or, you know, the political dilemmas that they have, you know, perpetrated in Mexico against the American people. Letting them cross that border or accepting them or giving them a court date to catch and release is not going to cut it, people. And this is why they're coming today, is because they know that they set one foot onto American soil, that it's over. They're going to get a court date and they're never going to show up, and they're going to have babies, and they're going to have what they're so-called anchor babies, or, you know, so-called American-born babies. And, you know, because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not, you know, anything less than an amnesty president. He is the amnesty president. Donald Trump is not the protector of America. He is not the protector of we the people. He, in fact, is the one that wants to surrender your country, surrender your children's posterity. And the vehicle that he's using is just simply whipping up the American people into thinking that he's going to enforce, you know, immigration laws, or he's going to build the wall 10 feet higher because Vicente Fox said something he didn't like, or that he's going to slam the country of Mexico for sending not their best people to America. He hasn't done any of that in 2 years, and he's not going to do any of that in the next 2 years. It's going to be 4 years down the road. But he will be having his rallies a year from now, or maybe even sooner. And what's he going to say at those rallies? We're going to build that wall, and who's going to pay for it? Mexico. You know, he's going to go back into his Bozo Act across America, lying to the American people, playing them for fools, using Americans that have been violated by illegal aliens as political pawns, you know, to get them on stage with them and, you know, get that, you know, momentum going against, the Democrats. But let me tell you something, people. There's no difference between Donald Trump and Schumer. There's no difference between Donald Trump and Pelosi. There's no difference between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, or Paul Ryan or McCarthy and Donald Trump. They are all for amnesty. Each and every one of them. They have always wanted amnesty. Take it from somebody that's been fighting them for 14 years. I have battled each and every one of them one-on-one because of their agendas. The agenda is amnesty, and it's that this day. Except that now that the Pelosi's and the Schumers and the McCarthy's and the McConnells, they think that, they finally have found a way to force amnesty down the throats of the American people. And that is to have Donald Trump take over the movement. Donald Trump become the voice, the will, and the mandate of the American people. Donald Trump seek political redress of Donald Trump. And, that's why he says, the American people will go for it, if we just do something, if we just grant an amnesty, in essence, America will say, job well done, because Donald Trump said so. It's not about you surrendering my portion of America, Donald Trump, or America at all, at any time. And the fact of the matter is, you're the president, you're the enforcer, you're the one that's supposed to enforce immigration laws on illegal aliens that have invaded America. And you can't, like this is one thing that really blows my mind. Donald Trump blames Pelosi and Schumer, and all the Trump supporters saying, yeah, that's how we got in this mess. But that's only because you're as new as Donald Trump is. Donald Trump doesn't realize how much of a fool he makes of himself every time he uses those words. And Raymond Herrera hears him blaming the other side of the aisle for the invasion of America. It's both sides of the aisle, Donald Trump. And it's been going on since before 2005. And I'm going to tell you again, you know nothing of what you speak of when it comes to immigration. They were even showing Jared Kushner tonight on television during the State of the Union speech when they were talking about some kind of an amnesty or some kind of border money or some kind of, liberal agenda. People, we voted for Donald Trump to enforce the laws on illegal aliens, period. There's no in between. There's no, yes, but he's my president, he's number 45, or Donald Trump's a chess player, or Donald Trump knows what he's doing, the art of the deal. It's none of that. It's none of that, America. You want to surrender your country? Go ahead. And you walk, the plank with President Donald Trump and the Schumers and the Pelosi's, because they're all in the same plank as you are. You know not of what you speak. The majority of what you see on television are Trump supporters that have only been around for 2 years. And for them, it's easy to say, things that aren't true. Like President Donald Trump said, well, we built the fence in San Diego. Well, I was there. I was part of the reason that they built that fence, Donald Trump, because they used to pour across that border. But you didn't know that. Even when it was happening, Donald Trump, you had no concerns. Your factories for making ties and suits and shoes with the Trump label are in Mexico. They are in Thailand, in China. They're not here on American soil, Donald Trump. You're part of that investment group that sold the American worker out. But you come at them, tell them that you're bringing back the companies. You don't tell them that you're giving tax breaks into the hundreds of billions of dollars to Microsoft and other companies that left and abandoned the American worker, America, and the American people years ago. And they did so because the laws were legislated by Republicans and Democrats and signed by Republican and Democratic presidents. The selling of America. But you want to blame Schumer and Pelosi for the dilemma, the political and social dilemma that we face here today. Donald Trump, everybody's guilty. The American people, they've never stood up until you came along. They're as guilty as you are, Trump. They're as guilty as Schumer and Pelosi, or the Americans that speak out on behalf of, of President Donald Trump's agenda, amnesty, support amnesty, build the wall talk. You're as guilty. And believe me, America, Raymond's one way. I don't look at this but any other way. And that's to arrest and deport each and every illegal alien that stands on American soil. There is no 2,000, 200,000, 260,000 that were arrested last year. There's 40 million illegal aliens that need to be arrested in the months to come, and they need to be deported. And you, President Donald Trump, if you want to send troops to the border, then you need to send infantry troops that would run patrols, saturate the border and the surrounding areas where the drug cartels or the invasion of America is occurring, and have the military, with killer hawk teams if necessary, stop them. But this puppet talk that you do to the American people that, get them to believe that Schumer and Pelosi created this political social dilemma is BS. Presidents like you, Donald Trump, and the Senate and the House of years past, you've sold America out a long time ago. All of you. And the American people are thinking, well, President Donald Trump's going to build that wall, he's going to seal that border, and that's going to be the end of it. No, people. It's not going to be the end of it. Donald Trump's never going to get that border wall funded through Pelosi and Schumer. And if you shut the government down, you shut it down. Dig the hole deeper, President Donald Trump. You're in trouble. But one of the things that bothered me about the shutdown of the government, the 800,000 government workers, people, did you ever stop to think what happened in 1980 when America was invaded by illegal aliens? Did you ever stop to think about the American workers that went without their paychecks, not for 30 days, but for 14, 15, 20 years, that lost their jobs, or Americans that are going to lose their jobs in the future? When you look at President Donald Trump talk about jobs being created here in America, I wonder how many of those are held by illegal aliens or people with visas. Remember, Donald Trump wants the merit-based visa now. Do you know what that means? That means that he's going to bring people over with trade certificates, carpenters, iron workers, or degrees in science, in engineering, or doctors, or lawyers. So we're going to have 1.5 million merit-based visas from now on. That's to say 1.5 million not American workers, but immigrant workers will be brought annually to America, the shores of America, displace the rest of you, displace your American children. Do you understand that? So that there is no resolve coming forward with President Donald Trump and his amnesty agenda. When you look at his agenda, what is he offering in the art of the deal, his chess game to Pelosi and Schumer? Amnesty. Amnesty for DACA, which means amnesty for the parents and the brothers and the sisters, or merit-based immigration visas, H-1B visas, HB2 visas. This is not America first. This is not American workers. These are immigrants or illegal aliens that are going to be brought here legally under President Donald Trump. Like people were saying, oh, Donald Trump, it's going to stop the unaccompanied children. Yeah, he did. He set up a program, just like Obama did in the countries of origin, where they go to the embassy there and they apply to be reunited with their illegal alien parents here in America that stole the jobs of American workers. So that there is no, how would you say, enforcement of immigration laws to come forward under President Donald Trump ever. If anything, he's Ronald Reagan II. He's trying to give the amnesty or give visas or import, merit-based workers, and it's at your expense, America. It's at the expense of the American worker, the expense of the American families that have made to suffer the loss of their American dream and their rightful place here in America, their American station, that have lost, America's torch that's been handed over to illegal aliens, or soon to be legalized Donald Trump illegal aliens under his amnesty programs and his merit-based programs. So America, you have to stop what you're doing. You have to stand up as Americans and not stand with the body politic, because the body politic, whether you know it or not, they're not your friends. I mean, show me one friend that you have in Washington, D.C. McCarthy? he's amnesty. Donald Trump, he's for amnesty. Schumer, he's for amnesty. Pelosi, she's for amnesty. Go down the list, people. Again, like I've said it year after year, they legislate on behalf of illegal aliens to stand on American soil. They're trying to force that square peg into a round hole. It's not going to work, people. We're being sold out again. But even worse, we were promised enforcement. We were promised the deportation. We were promised the end of DACA. And the man that did that promise is Donald Trump, President of the United States, the amnesty president of America. We need to wake up, America. We need to go up against the body politic, all of them. President Donald Trump, too. We need to hold rallies where we tell President Donald Trump that we do not and will not accept his amnesty agenda. We have to embarrass President Donald Trump in front of the American people and to the world. We will not accept the surrender of America, be it at the hands of Schumer, Pelosi, or President Donald Trump. We cannot and we will not afford the surrender of America to illegal alien third world peasants from around the world. You better stand as Americans, and you better stop this nation of immigrant talk that's going out there. These, a nation of immigrants, just a way to break American exceptionalism down. I'm not an immigrant. And in closing, people, now that I'm talking about immigrants, I kind of like am bothered when President Donald Trump talks about unemployment being down. He always goes to, the African American or the Asian or, his perception of what I am, Hispanic or Latino. Unemployment is down. The colored unemployment is down. People, I don't talk in circles like that. I don't talk about my white president. I don't talk about, anybody's skin color when I refer to the American people. I do say the color of our skin is American. I don't look at you and say, oh, wow, white skin, blue eyes, red hair. And I hope you don't look at me, oh, wow, brown skin, brown eyes, black hair. I would rather we look at each other and say, we are the Americans. So we don't need to, single out different, colored people when you're talking to the American people. Just say, Donald Trump, that the Americans are back to work or they're going back to work. You don't have to, use colored people as political pawns. I don't use you as a political pawn in that respect, nor would I. I'm an American, just like you. So, again, in ending tonight's live feed, Donald Trump said nothing of interest to Raymond Herrera or to the American people as far as enforcement of immigration laws against illegal aliens that stand on American soil. He did talk about the deal and the pending deal he'd like to negotiate with Schumer and Pelosi. That's why he was, at times talking about, oh, my newfound friends, that we can compromise, win for America, we'll legislate, in essence, laws that will benefit the American people. Legislation of any amnesty act will not benefit the American people. Believe me, America, there's more crimes being perpetrated against the American people than the status quo likes you to believe. Like when you look at Fox News or you look at the media, the fake news or whatever, what do they talk about? Well, the first thing they talk about is, illegal aliens that kill Americans. And then that's it. And they should talk about that, but they should talk about the rest of the dilemmas that have been perpetrated against the American people. They should talk about what I call the walking dead, the Americans that have been displaced in the work sector, in schools, in institutions, in government. It's our America that Donald Trump wants to give away. But he's given it away with a smile. And he's given it away as the leader of your movement, not mine. Because Donald Trump speaks of the movement. That's the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody, not just the American people, is that when the president or the body politic takes over the movement of the people, It takes over the discord and dissidence of the American people in this case, or it takes over the voice, the will, and the mandate of the American people, and he becomes, like President Trump has become, the voice, the will, the mandate, the public opinion of America, of we the people. He seeks political redress to fit his own agendas, amnesty agendas for a border wall. It's not, President Donald Trump cannot tell the legislative of we the people what to legislate. He cannot tell and should not tell the Senate or the House what kind of legislation they should pass or how they should pass it. He should not be in there negotiating a deal under the threat of a national emergency. This is not presidential, people. But want to know something else? It's not American either. I'll leave you with that, people. Just remember my words. Trump is the amnesty president. You want to support the surrender of America? Hold another rally, a Trump rally. Hold another rally for the border wall. Buy another brick. Confuse the rest of the American people out there. Remember, conquer and divide. Last week I saw people talking about Antifa, people talking about abortion, people talking about gun rights, freedom of speech rights, and the whole time your body politic in Washington, D.C. is in the broiler room trying to surrender your America to illegal aliens. Diverse is what we are, people. We have no central message or messenger to the government at any level with regards to illegal aliens that stand on American soil. Because, like what I've told you in the past, this movement has become a high school clique. You know, it's not about the kid stuff that you find in high school. This is serious stuff, people. We could lose America forever. And another thing before I go, I noticed that a lot of people use my thoughts or use my words when they speak, even the body politic. I kind of like it. Good night, America, and God bless.